Have you checked your calendar? Have you checked your watch, your clock, your appointments? Well, it's Friday, baby, and you know what that means? That means
tier list Friday, man, because we haven't touched Mythic Plus yet, and today we're looking at range DPS in Mythic Plus.
Hell yeah. And we have a couple of disclaimers. First of all the specs you're gonna see here ranked are capable of doing, I would say, plus 20s.
All of them above plus 20s, yeah, so plus 21s even.
No, don't you even worry if your spec is being ranked into maybe a D tier, as all of these are from logs 20 plus, okay? So if you're like KSM, you know, like us, you know, trying to do, you know, 15s and such, any spec will work from this. But we are looking at logs, people who have logged their runs and stuff, playing different specs, and obviously these are like one of the top players in the world.
Yeah, man, it's very hard to actually judge them properly, because the top players in the world obviously put all of the specs that are being run in the party that clear the plus 25 or whatever as a potentially S tier. The reason that we're going to be putting stuff into S, A, B, C, and D is not because they're good to trash, is that because there's a slight difference in performance and popularity to the specs. Since, you know, if you have something like Demo Lock, not a lot of people will be playing Demo, if a lot of them will be playing Affliction, so it just goes to with performance and popularity. All right,
that's the thing. And you know, you can never play your ranged classes and specs in Mythic Plus without proper add-ons. And who better to manage your add-ons than the Curseforge client, the sponsor of this video. Now, we've been rocking Curseforge for a long ass time, since like Overwolf took over back in, I think it was October or November. 2020. And there was a lot of negativity back then and a lot of concerns, but I think time has proven so far there's been no issues. The app is super stable. You get like a lot of the new add-ons, the updates directly with one button, and on top of that, all of the add-on creators get a significant portion of revenue as well. Also, you very well know that Curseforge has been, you know, with the Echo Guild, with the Race to Worlds First, and they want congratulations, Echo. And you know, it's been kind of a proud moment to be part of the Curseforge family, and with Echo and such. So I think it's a win-win for everybody, right?
Oh yeah.
Cool add-ons manager, you know, one-button updates, new add-ons all the time, frequent updates from the devs. What more can you ask? I tell you what you can ask. Let's ask about Affliction Warlock, baby, because that's what we're starting with.
If that's not a good segue, then I don't know what is. Affliction Warlock. Okay, well, people had different opinions about Warlock going into 9.1, and a lot of speculations about Destro being the new king. Now, whether that was strictly for raid or for both raids and dungeons, that remains to be seen, because currently Affliction is way up high, man.
Affliction is actually one of the S tiers, believe it or not, and we can go into why this is happening. Again, looking at damage profiles, the differences between the specs we're going to look at are very minimal. I think it's a matter of maybe popularity. A lot of the times, you know, Affliction Warlock has been like more or less a beloved child of the Warlock class.
Oh, yeah, and can you imagine that Affliction is actually right now the best Warlock spec statistically in Mythic Plus?
I think you know, it's one of these specs that I have huge respect for, just because it's not an easy one to pull off, and we always make this argument, you know, specs that actually get you a little bit more involved and have you master them more than, I'll say, other specs, and also be part of a bigger reward. This means damage. They're pretty cool, right? So being a Affliction Warlock is really good. Props to you boys and gals out there who play Affliction. Doesn't mean Destro doesn't clear plus 20.
No, we're gonna. But you know what else is good? Being
Arcane
Mage, man. Okay, let's start right off the bat, because there's a lot to talk about Mage, and kindly without actually, it's I don't know if it's in front of Affliction or not, but I think
it's in front.
It was. If you look at the Warcraft logs, Affliction is a tad better, but this is also in terms of popularity. Arcane, not Affliction.
Yes,
but.
Okay.
Yes, this is very surprising, because
Where's
Arcane.
the Fire Mage, man?
Oh, we're gonna get to that. It's very interesting that Arcane is currently at the top. It's actually pretty exciting. I cannot wait to check out my mage as well. Yeah. But things changed, and I'm actually kind of surprised.
Fire kind of got nerfs moving into 9.1, so it was kind of a bit expected. Arcane was looking promising. If you remember when we did the fun tier list, we actually dabbed a little bit into a little bit of speculation on what specs would be.
Yeah, that was with Prideful, and Prideful really helped Arcane pump the numbers.
We were saying that Arcane, because of Prideful, was good at the time.
Yeah, that's why I'm surprised.
What do you know?
Because there's no more Prideful now.
Yeah, so it's definitely looking pretty good. And you know what? We're kind of happy to see like changes within the meta and stuff.
If it's predictable, then it's
yeah. That's what I'm saying. I think we were getting tired of looking at Fire Mage being always on the top and stuff. So congrats to Arcane, right? Arcane players rejoice, but that doesn't mean the other specs, Frost and Fire, are not looking good. We're gonna get to those.
We're gonna get to those as well. But since we're looking at the top specs of the game, let's look at some of the least performing specs right now. BM Hunter.
I mean,
all
when
right,
we say least performing,
okay. So listen. Okay, we're first of all, just to make our point, BM Hunter is currently clearing some of the lowest keys, and in terms of popularity, it's it's not clearing the lowest keys right now, but it is played the least because obviously marksmanship still has some popularity and people are picking up survival because they figured out, oh, it's pretty fun to throw bombs and have uncapped AoE. When it comes to Beastmaster, it's kind of like taking a little bit of a dip, but mostly because people just don't play it as much. It's not because it's good, because
I'm just trolling, man.
If we look, okay, so if we look at the best key that a Beastmaster has cleared, I think at this point is a +23 Necrotic Wake.
Yeah, +23.
From one of the best Beastmasters currently in the game, at least people who are using Radar.io, because that's where we found some of these statistics. It's not important if it's +23 or +22 or +24. It's important that it's very high up there, and it's, I think, 2 keys behind the top cleared key, or 3 keys behind the top cleared key, which was a +26. And I think that's only one of the +26 at this point that was cleared.
Yeah, there you go. It goes without saying. I was just trolling, right? So I'm seeing BM in detail. Oh my god, the spec is trash.
If you actually have the Sylvanas legendary bow, you're gonna mess some shit up, man.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So once again, reiterating the fact that any of these specs can get you on a top DPS level. 15 plus. Okay, it really depends on comps,
everybody. If you look, I don't know if we're gonna have logs. We can probably put a picture of the logs at +15. Everything is equal.
Yeah,
at +15. Like there's even at +20. I was looking at +20. Everything is pretty much equal. Everybody's just clearing +20 keys. It's not that hard. This season doesn't seem to be that hard.
Yeah. Okay, but you know what else isn't hard, or as it used to be? The Boomkins. Oh shit! Oh well, that was a dangerous one. God damn! All right, so
okay, this is
chicken. The space chicken is fucked.
He's having fun. It's actually not as.
Let me put this.
You want to have the pleasure?
Remember, this was right here. Nah, baby, let's go. It doesn't mean anything. Once I'm trolling as a monster.
Yeah, he's trolling, but I'm gonna burst your bubble a little bit. The top team in the world that's cleared the first +26 has a Boomkin in it.
No, I'm getting out of here. Fuck it. No, I'm just.
And I think it did the most amount of damage in its team also, so it's perfectly fine. This is what I'm saying, guys. Like, in terms of popularity and overall performance, not just at the very top at like 100 percentile level, Boomkin is kind of like middle tier in the sense that there's a bunch of other specs above and below it in terms of performance, but it cleared the highest key. So that's the thing, you have to take this with a grain of salt, because if we're gonna make a tier list, there's no one perfect tier list to encompass all of the possible encounters. It's just to show like what people actually play and get keys done. And Boomy is still maybe one of the strong DPS. I was looking to put it into S tier, but like, okay, if we do that, then we put everything into S tier, because everybody's clearing like super high keys. So that's the story with Boomkin.
You're gonna see at the end of the video, once we do show all the logs, you're gonna see how close all of these specs are on each other. It's quite unbelievable. Okay, let's move along to Demo Warlock.
This is another low-performing one, and again, I think it suffers from the same issue that BM, because it is something that we're going to be putting in the same issue that BM suffers from.
Word there?
It's okay, man. I'm inventing a new language. I'm like Tolkien, if you really want to think about it.
All right.
I'm just a couple of steps away.
Shut up.
But Demonology suffers from the same issue that BM suffers from, and that is people play Affliction more. And probably Destro as well. So in terms of popularity, it's the least popular spec of the game, almost very, very at the bottom with with Beastmaster, and actually has cleared the highest plus 21, while
Tear
BM
of Pain actually.
Yeah, that's not an easy one to clear, and BM cleared essentially plus 23. So the best demo currently is behind the best team by about 4 or 5 keys, but that's because probably Shelley isn't playing demo, because when that man plays demo, he clears the high keys anyway.
Of course. So then, and as you said, people will definitely gonna be more inclined to choose Destro, or in this case, Affliction. So the popularity aspect is really weighing in on this tier list at least. But nevertheless, speaking of more popular specs, but not that much, Destro Warlock, which was a bit surprising to
I think it. I haven't looked at the. I mean, we did the raid logs for range DPS as well, but Destro was performing a little bit better. A little bit. He's having fun. It's kind of like the same as demo. Probably a lot more people play Destro because it's just no pets, no worries, no anything like that. I mean, you kind of have one pet, but. Destro is still a very good spec. It clears very high keys, and it's probably just suffering from popularity issues where most people just play Affliction.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean, being in a C tier doesn't mean nothing at all. I mean, Destro is still a super huge powerhouse in Mythic Plus. Super strong cleave, super strong AoE. I know I've tuned into like Pilov's Twitch at some point. He did a plus 20 with Destro Warlock. And dude, the fucking Reign of Chaos, or whatever the fuck it's called, I don't know, it was just ridiculous, man. Just popped up on everything. I think.
How many Infernals did you see?
There was the whole family.
The whole family?
Yeah, there was
the kids
nieces,
and the grandparents
nieces
as well.
and nephews and dogs and shit. So yeah, it's pretty good there, nevertheless. Okay. One of Flame's favorite specs, and
Elemental, which I think me personally included, thought that it might be one of the better specs this season because Affliction was nerfed, Shadow Priest was nerfed, Fire Mage was nerfed, and those were kind of like the only ones that were outperforming Elemental, even if by slightly. But I mean, Elemental is definitely very high up there. Right now, Elemental is kind of performing around A tier. I mean, it's essentially clearing keys with the high boys, but it's just a smidge below Arcane and Affliction, so we kind of had to make that difference because otherwise, then, like I said, if we put these into A tier, then everybody gets into A tier.
Yeah, I mean, looking at past tier lists we did in season 1, especially at the beginning, Elemental was not doing as great, but obviously we went through the buffs to it. Sadly, no one has one, but that's on the melee tier list. Elemental got huge buffs. It was expected for the spec to perform great in Mythic Plus and raids, and it has a pretty solid spot, like in any team, solid.
I mean, we talked about utility, and everybody knows at this point Nerf Elemental and all that good jazz.
Well, we're not gonna cover utility here because we kind of like sound like broken records. But then we talked about 20 videos on utility on all these specs. But useful or not, here is the Fire Mage. And I will say I still loved playing the Fire Mage. I mean, that moment with combustion was always nice with kindling and stuff. So that the thing with Fire Mage always boggled me was it's super fun to play when you do have combustion, and especially Mythic Plus when you like have your flame strike on capped and stuff. It's big numbers and everything just burns around you. It's pretty fun. After combustion ends, well,
it's kind of that's why a lot of people. This is why I think a lot of people misunderstand the power of fire. First of all, let's put it's actually into A tier. And before we actually talk a little bit as to why Fire Mage is so good and why a lot of people probably don't play Fire Mage that great, me included, is first the best mage, ranked mage in Mythic Plus right now is playing fire. Right, and and the first one is not Arcane, but we're not gonna spoil the other part. The thing with fire, right? It's very specific since it has uncapped AOE, and the nerfs that it hit, it mostly hit the raid part because kindling was used pretty much on made combustion on cooldown and raid.
I know.
But in dungeons, you didn't really use combustion on cooldown.
And you can adapt as well. You have a group that can adapt easily. The packs are, they can be delayed a bit. They can be done faster to align with specific cooldowns.
Yeah, there's not necessarily. The thing is, to be able to be A tier, even S tier Fire Mage, you need to have a tank that's in a group essentially that's capable of pulling 3, maybe to 4 packs to really take advantage of combustion. Because if you're just pulling pack to pack like you would in a normal pack, then fire is pretty much a dog shit spec.
Yeah. In terms of numbers, it definitely feels like that. So, nevertheless, nerfs or not, it's still one of the top performing range DPS specs. Not S tier anymore, but still up there, okay? And this leads us to the Frost spec, which I was hoping for, doing, because it started doing really good at the end of the last season. But now it's like kind of like cemented, and I'm speaking here Mythic Plus and Braids, but focusing on Mythic Plus, it's really good. And this is one mage spec that isn't like the easiest, it's not the hardest, but it's definitely rewarding once you pull it off, especially in Mythic Plus, and it delivers. And you did mention that the most popular mage spec.
So I think it's to nobody's surprise that maybe the best mage in the world of Mythic Plus right now is Asuna, and Asuna basically was the best fire mage last season, and now he's essentially playing just Frost Mage.
Why?
And they've his party with Elismir and everybody else cleared the highest key. I think they've cleared 26 by this point, but right now on Radar.io we only found like the best key being cleared is a plus 25. That was with Frost Mage. Even though statistically Arcane is being played a little bit more, overall over the course of the whole popularity of the game, Arcane is a little bit more, but that's why it's very hard to make a very legit tier list. So that's why we're talking a little bit more in depth about it, so you don't take this as seriously, you can take it as a point of reference. But Frost Mage is, if you really take, I mean, Asuna is like a god player. I mean, we're bowing down. If he played Arcane, he would have probably been just the best Arcane anyway. But that's the thing, right? Bring the player, not the spec, and this is a clear example as to why, because the top mage in the world is playing Frost, the second best mage in the world is playing Arcane, and then everybody Fire, and then everybody else is playing Arcane, and the roles are kind of reversed, you know, the positions in the tier.
It's a ping pong. It's a madness show over there. All right, let's move along to Marksmanship Hunter, which I was expecting a bigger fall, but once again, when I say bigger fall, I was looking at it below D tier.
It's probably because of the bow, because I didn't expect it to be as high.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? A lot of these marksman hunters actually got their bow from Sylvanas, which is pretty good increase, and it's still more popular, I would say, than BM and Can I go into survival? We're going to talk about survival in the Mythic Plus melee one. But I still believe, due to the Shadowlands, I would say Hyperinos, Marksman really gained in popularity, and rightfully so. It stood in the shadow of BM for a long time, especially in BFA and even prior to that. But right now, I mean, looking at like the differences and stuff, like specific numbers, it's up there with the big boys.
It's up there. It was hard because I thought about putting into B tier, but the overall performance was just a little bit better than Boomy. But definitely, Marksman is at the high echelon. It's the best hunter spec right now statistically. It's doing really good for itself, and we all know the power of the volley burst. And of course, if you even play Kyrian and you have mechanicals, you can essentially have a resonating arrow for every volley every 45 seconds, and that's a big burst that a lot of other classes don't have. I mean, Mage kind of has a minute and something, but Marksman kind of has like a 40-second damage profile, which is pretty good. It's why a lot of the specs right now are playing Kyrian.
Hell yeah. And now let's get to the last one on the list, the Shadow Priest, which once again has seen changes moving into 9.1, buffs, then a couple of nerfs, but overall really solid spec in all departments, right? Yeah. It's again really tiny difference between Shadow and Boomkin. I think Boomkin just gets I don't know, %.
Well, in terms of statistics, yes, Boomkin is just a smidge better, but they're kind of the same. They're kind of the same. Yeah. I mean, it's the power of priest, right? If you're gonna be using like a lot of paladin and shamans healers in this day and age, because we looked at, but mostly in raids, then you kind of want a priest. Obviously, power infusion is pretty good, especially if you have like a high octane DPS that just needs to pump. That power infusion is pretty good. Outside of that, power infusion is also good for you, so you might not use it for that. But Shadow is just really good. I think the reason why it might have taken a little bit of a dip is because its single target kind of got nerfed a little bit, but its spread dot damage has been improved.
It's definitely, I mean, you won't see as many Shadow Priests in like the top performing teams like say MDI or groups like Elsmir's group or Elsmir's and Asunas and stuff. And I think a lot of these boys, top tier boys, prefer specs that are a little bit more fluid, because Shadow Priest is really fun to play, but it does require a bit of a setup. It's not as fluid as I would say like Fire Mage, or I would say an Arcane Mage, even Frost, right? It has a lot more things going for it, and you need a little bit more time and spacing between the APMs to perform at the highest level. So I'm thinking this is another reason why we don't see as many Shadow Priests, in the top tier level. That being said, though, it's, you know, super close. Is it a safe time that to show up the logs?
I think we can show. So basically, what we're showing right now is basically overall ore percentages, and if you look at like plus 20 and plus 15s, it will be all straight down line. So everybody is decently balanced in terms of performance. Now, whether you do 1k damage less than everybody else, it's kind of like neither here nor there, because in Mythic Plus, the damage profile is a little bit, let's say, more lenient on you. You don't really need that. It's not as obvious as it is in raids when you just have one target, where in Mythic Plus you are a little bit more versatile in the kind of stuff that you can do for your group in terms of utility and everything else. But taking all that into account, I think right now statistically maybe you have one of the best metas we've seen so far. A lot of the specs that we never thought would be at least decent are actually at the top, so
yeah, well, I mean, we kind of had the same discussion on our last tier list. It looks like at least from these metrics and logs we're getting in, obviously it's not the whole picture, but at least from these, we're seeing a very balanced picture in terms of performance in PvE, right? So this is, I think this can be attributed as a good thing for the expansion. I know it's hard to like grasp or give the credit to, but I remember, you know, we're looking at like a tier list in BFA. We didn't do them at the time. Jesus Christ, there was.
But we were looking at the logs. I remember Arcane Mage not being able to do like 16s to 18 keys, barely there, and we were making guides and stuff. I was like, man, this is a fun spec, but it's a big difference from not being able to do 16, 7 keys to being at the top with about 10 other specs clearing almost the same key level. So it's not that bad for all the shit that goes around Shadowlands right now.
Rightfully so.
Yeah, it's okay. The balance is not great. It's never gonna be ideal, but at least you shouldn't feel bad for playing one spec. Just practice it, be the best at that spec, and you're gonna be better than 99% of the players.
I think we can address the problem that, you know, if you don't have a stable group and are trying to get into like medium keys, medium keys to high into groups, you're probably gonna get rejected if you're not gonna play one of the meta classes. This is how it is. We hate that. With these tier lists, we're always trying to reiterate that this should not be the case. Any spec can do well as presented here with all the logs, and we're trying to change this community perception. But again, it's always down to the actual community playing this key. So I think our recommendation would be, okay, play whatever you love because it will do great. And also trying to find like a stable group or a guild or something, because LFG right now is just a,
you know, like our moms used to say, go and make friends.
Yeah, pretty much, man. That was some, you know, wisdom.
She knew what was gonna happen in the meta of WoW, man. And the biggest wisdom you can get is from our Patreon groups, because they have some of the best feedback that we've ever had on our channel, and we really thank you for supporting us, not with just feedback, but with everything that you do, by being a part of everything that we do. TLFs, class guides, news episodes, podcasts, streams on twitter.com/MarcelianOnline, where we actually play a bunch of these specs. So thank you, and if you, dear viewer, want to support us a little bit more, the links to our Patreon page is down below, and you might find some goodies you like.
Yeah, and also big salute to the Twitch viewers, subs, and followers. Thank you for all the support, and the Discord gang. You know we love you. Now you who have watched up until this point, goddamn, did you get bored already? Thank you so much, and have a great weekend ahead. Bye.
I've been loving it then, I still love it now. Still, I play WoW. Still, I play WoW. Getting better every day, let me show you how. Cause still, I play WoW. Still, I play WoW. It's getting harder to stay, but at the end of the day, it's a guilty pleasure, so just log in and play. Whether it's classical retail, I'ma do a /bow. Still, I play WoW.